What's up, guys? Welcome back to Boost Brothers Garage, and this, the final episode of Cayman Engine Disassembly. We're going to find out today exactly what went wrong with this engine. Stay tuned. If you guys haven't seen all of the videos in this series thus far, I'll post a link up here so you can get caught up. Our Cayman engine blew up at the end of last season at an autocross. It was actually a couple days thereafter we started to get some what we believe to be rod knock, pretty severe. This has been trial and error. We've been lucky to have some of our subscribers send some support as far as Cayman shop manuals and just advice as to what to do. So we thank everyone for that. But now it's time to split the case and find the root cause of the issue here. I'm going to start by going around the perimeter of the block at the case halves and remove all of the bolts. And then we're going to slowly start trying to pry it apart and make sure that there's nothing internal holding it together besides tension on the piston rings. I don't really know if the intermediate shaft, the IMS, is going to cause any issues with pulling the case off. I hope not, but we'll find out as we do it. We got all the bolts out, and now it's time to start trying to split this thing apart. I'm going to use a rubber mallet, and I'm going to go around the perimeter. I'm going to hit areas that I believe are safe, and I'm going to try to start lifting this case half up off. Not sure if we're seeing any separation yet or not.
I don't think so.
Not looking like it. We found this one very long bolt on each side of the case halves. I pulled this one out of the other side. I don't know if that's what finally set it free, but we moved the way we had the block oriented and started hammering it, and you can see that it is finally splitting. So we'll keep working around all the way around the block, slowly and carefully splitting it like that, and then we'll try to lift it off. All right, we got it loose. So I'm going to start pulling up, and Thomas, you want to catch those pistons?
Yeah. There you go.
Voila!
Thomas has magic hands.
All this is just stuff off of the rubber mallet we were using. It had tile grout on it.
There's your rod.
1, 2, 3. Number 4?
Yep, there's your rod. That's your number.
If you count, you've got 1, 2, 3. This is number 4. And I really didn't expect it to be number 4, but that's definitely our problem child right there. So it's a rod bearing. It's the number 4 rod bearing. We're gonna have to keep tearing into this and try to see how bad the crankshaft is and see if it's repairable or if it even needs repair. One of the common failures that you see, at least on the internet, on these M97s is really bad cylinder wall scoring, and it's something we wanted to check while we were in here. And looking inside this case half, all of the bores look to be in really good shape. I don't see any overly aggressive cylinder scoring. There's some obvious wear marks from being a 100,000 mile engine, but nothing by any means that would cause a catastrophic failure like we saw. Moving along, we're going to try to get this whole rotating assembly out. So we're pulling the circlip off of this tensioner for the intermediate shaft chain. We'll go ahead and pull this main seal too. had a bit of an epiphany, and that bolt that we took out of the other side that finally freed up the case half, I believe that goes all the way down through into this rotating assembly block. And that's one of the reasons why we can't do anything else with it right now. So I'm going to pull this off of this side as well. Then I'm hoping that we can start to pull this whole rotating assembly out. But hoping doesn't mean that it will. We found one last bolt inside where the timing chain rides, and I think that is going to that rotating assembly block. And we're going to pull it after I just destroyed my glove and see if that doesn't free us up. I'm willing to bet that that is going to help our situation. I think that did it. We were able to start moving the rotating assembly block a little bit. We're going to two-man team it. Thomas is going to grab that side. I'm going to grab this side. Let's see if we can't get it out of here. Yeah, buddy.
Two-man team and a shoe.
Okay. How are those cylinders looking?
I don't see.
Beautiful.
Yeah, no issues.
The cylinder that had the rod issue, right? You can hear the rod issue. You can see that the cylinder, that skirt had some slap during its life. So that's fairly normal with something that had the abuse while running, right? So,
What abuse?
abuse.
Do we need to add in some footage here?
Yes.
Some of the prior abuse this thing saw?
Thomas was my instructor at the autocross that I broke it, and he was cheering me on the whole time.
This is very true.
Oh yeah, don't worry, Zach. You won't hurt anything.
I did not.
No,
say
he
anything of the
didn't.
sort.
He told me do oil mod. So
I told him immediately to baffle his pan. Immediately.
see, I think I said, what'd you say? Do exhaust? Yeah.
Who?
When you said baffle your oil pan, I said I'm pretty sure he said to do exhaust because
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do.
All right, we're taking the Ims shaft out. We took the timing chain guides off, and it just slides out from there. This being the bearing that everyone has catastrophic failures with. On the M97s, it's not nearly as common. M96s, you need to replace your IMS bearing. And you can do that without taking the engine apart. You have to drop the transmission, but you don't have to disassemble the engine.
And on the 97s, if you're over 30 or 50,000 miles, you're in good shape, right?
Most likely, yeah. That's what the internet says.
The internet's always right, Mike.
It is. Now we're pulling the windage tray here.
Your wheels really look good in the background.
Oh, good.
You notice how we just strategically put his wheels in the background of everything we do? Whether the car's on the left.
We didn't actually do that, but sometimes I rewatch our videos, and I do really like seeing them back there. We are going to one by one take these rods off. We started with just pulling one rod cap, and we started with the one that's the issue. So, get it off. There's no bearing.
Yeah. And let's just go ahead and lift up on the block here.
Ready? And you got it. Yep, got it. Is there bearing on that side?
No. But I found our bearing, or at least, whoop, watch yourself.
Holy shit.
Watch yourself, it's sharp.
They were on top of each other.
They were. They had slid on top of one another, and they had actually extruded themselves. That is, by definition, what you would call a spun bearing.
That is nasty.
And they had, if you watch, they had spun into one another and extruded themselves in place. So, what that means is minimum of rod. Yeah, that rod is gone. The crankshaft is wiped on that journal. And so it's that's how that bad boy was riding. So it was about 3/4 of a bearing, and as you can see how it fits in, that's how it was. That's how it lived its life for some portion of time. So the fact that
it was like that for
a while. Yes.
This was, we've told you in the past that as soon as we started hearing the knocking, Zach finished driving the car 1.5 miles to my house, and then we started it 2, maybe 3 times after that for no more than 10 to 15 seconds at a time. So we were hoping that we had, kept some of the damage minimal, but that had spun a while before that.
Yep. So that damage must have happened in high revs, is my guess. You probably didn't notice it because the oil was filling the gap. So kudos to Porsche oil pumps, still making a lot of volume up and holding that rod out away from the crankshaft. The crank is not gouged so bad as I would imagine.
No.
And if you want to zoom in and get here, you can tell that the crank doesn't look so bad gouged. It's actually quite impressive how it was able to save itself for so long. So,
But it's still shot,
Well, we'd have to measure it.
and that's a $3,000
yeah,
piece.
I mean, it definitely could be turned.
Well, you can't turn these cranks because no one makes oversized
And yeah, oversized bearings.
bearings.
But it could be spray welded and
Yep.
turned,
Right.
and be saved for a good daily driver engine. I wouldn't put a ton of power to a spray welded crank, but then again, the hot rod guys would disagree with me. All right. So
We just pulled the number 1.
yeah. So pull number 1 actually.
And hold on, Thomas said, "Do you think we should show him what one should look like?" And it was right as I pulled this off my hand, and I started laughing, and I said, "Well, not like this one."
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So if you want to get in close. There it goes. Okay, so now you can see the bearing. That bearing is wiped all of the face coating off. It is down to the core of the bearing, and it is horribly discolored. This thing got hot a number of times. It just didn't get so bad that it spun. So this one was on its way out as well.
we just pulled the number 6, which a lot of people seem to think that number 6 was going to be the potential issue. I guess number 6 rod bearings on these are somewhat prone. This one is so-so.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
Yeah, compared to the others.
Yeah, this is actually the best one I've seen thus far.
Yeah. We got all 6 pistons and rods out. Now we're down to just the block holding the crank in place. So we're going to go through and remove all of these bolts here. Man, that thing's still heavy. That's stout. We'll pull these, pull the block apart, and pull the crank out, and then we can have a little bit better look at what shape it's in. Look at the brain on this guy.
Okay. When you don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. And I am screwed in the looks department.
Alright.
All right.
Now the main bearings
Don't look terrible.
look good. As I'm dripping oil all over our impact. And the crank itself, again, we'll have to take actual measurements to figure everything out, but this is your number 4 rod journal, and you can see it definitely got some wear and tear on it compared to number 5 right next to it. That's it, boys and girls. There is our completely disassembled Porsche Cayman S 3.4 liter M97. As we had suspected all along, it was a rod bearing. It actually turned out to be 2 of them. One was completely spun and shot. The other one was on its way out.
All on the same side as well, right?
No, it was 1 and 4.
Okay.
So they were, there was 1 on each side. It's actually been a lot of fun taking this thing apart. I feel bad for my brother here who is going to be paying to fix all this stuff.
It's going to work out in the long run.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on what we found out and just the whole process in general?
Well, I'm not. This isn't my forte, of course, which is why he's done a majority of the work, and Thomas is in here helping. So this is all pretty new to me. What I do know is that I have all of this, and not all of it is ruined. Some of it is. So I'm going to sell some of this stuff as core parts and whatever, and I'll let you guys know how much I make off this stuff. And we got a lead on a M96 3.8 the other day, and
we teased you a little bit with it in the last video, and Zach has actually already made the purchase. He's going to pick it up in 3 weeks. It's a M96 based, originally a 3.4 liter. It's been sleeved and bored. That work's already been done to take it to a 3.8. We've got to do some more research on whether or not we need a 3.6 crank or different rods and what size pistons and etc. But
all the head work's been done.
Yep.
Everything's there, including supposedly a fab speed exhaust.
and fab speed headers, which
Yeah.
we'll sell.
We'll sell.
We're going to reuse our Soul stuff. He got a steal on this 3.8. We found it on eBay.
Yeah, supposedly it's a complete engine, disassembled minus the pistons. We'll see how that works out. Anybody that knows anything about Motormeister, this is one of the Motormeister cases that ended up hanging around for years and blah blah blah. So it'll be interesting to get in here. I don't want to get into cost right now, but we will do that, and we'll disclose everything that we paid at the end.
Yeah.
And like I said, we'll give you guys some insight on what we sell these parts for. But the way I view it right now is, I feel like I'm going to be lucky, and that you guys aren't going to have to wait as long to see the engine being built, because I think I'm going to be able to finance most of the rebuild of the 3.8 with the stuff that's sitting in front of us.
Yeah.
So we'll cross our fingers and hope that that's the case, but hopefully once the 944 is done, we'll go straight into building the 3.8.
Yeah.
And
We'll do a full build series on it. Very similar to what we did here, but the reverse, and we'll be happier, and we'll be using new parts, and we won't be cursing as much. So we're really excited about that. We want to thank everyone for watching this teardown series. We got a lot of people engaged in comments, and it's been a lot of fun. So anyone that's new to the channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. We do this type of stuff all the time. And for our long time subscribers, thank you. And if you want to know how to continue to support us moving forward, check out our Patreon page, and I'll post a link down below for it. Thanks, guys.
take it easy.